Welcome. This is Coach Dorf, and we're in section 2.2. And we're going to look at an example of a problem that's similar to a homework problem. In this one, we're supposed to sketch the graph of a function given certain conditions. And here we are given 6 conditions. So first thing I'm going to do is draw my axis. So here's x-axis, here's y-axis. And I notice that my x values for the points that are given here, I have x approaching a -3, a -3, an x approaching a 3, a 3, and I have an x value of -3 and 3. So my x values are going to be from -3 to 3. So I'm going to put in some hash marks here to represent those values like that. All right, now I look at my y values. My y values are the ones that come after the equal sign. So I have a 3 and a 2 and a -1, a 2, and a 0. So I'm going to make sure that my y values go all the way up to a 3, go down to at least a -1. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and do a -2 there also. Now I'm supposed to use these 6 conditions to sketch an example of a function that would satisfy all these. So let's look at the first one. It says we have the limit of f of x equals 3 as x approaches -3, and then it has that little negative symbol to the upper right-hand side of the 3. That means it's approaching -3 from the left, or numbers that are a little bit less than -3. So that means I'm going to be coming in this direction here. I'm coming from the left going toward -3. Now it says it's going to equal a value of 3. So that means I'm going to be coming in from the left and going to -3. Now I'm going to, as x goes to -3, it's going to have a value of 3. Now I'm going to put an open circle there because that particular condition doesn't tell me exactly what happens when x is -3. It only says as x approaches -3 from the left. So I'll stop with that and have an open circle there. The next one says the limit of f of x equals 2 as x approaches -3, and has a little plus there in the upper right-hand part of 3. And that means from numbers that are a little bit larger than 3 or from the right. So I'm going to be approaching now from this side. And as I do that, I'm going to get a value of 2 as I get close to -3. So I'm going to do something like this. Again, I'm going to put an open circle there because I don't know exactly what happens. This doesn't tell me what happens when x is equal to -3. It only says as x is approaching -3 from the right or from numbers a little bit larger than -3. All right, the third condition, the limit of f of x equals -1 as x approaches 3 from the left. So here we're going to +3, and we have a little negative sign up there, which means from the left. So I'm going to be going toward 3 here, and it's going to be equaling -1. So I'm going to do same thing like I did before. I'm going to be going from left to right, approaching 3, and I'm going to have an open circle, and that equals the value of -1. All right, so my value for -1 might be off a little bit. Let's say -1 is right down there. That looks a little bit better. The fourth one says the limit of f of x equals 2 as x goes to 3 from the right. So now I'm going to get a 2 value here, and I'm going to put an open circle like that. Again, this means I'm going from right to left, and I'm approaching x equals 3. I'm going to put an open circle at x equals 3 because this doesn't tell me what happens when x is equal to 3. Okay, the fifth condition says f of -3 is 2. Well, finally now I see what happens when x is -3. When x is -3, the function equals a value of 2. So I go back to what I drew earlier where x was getting close to -3, and at -3 it equals 2. So I'm going to fill that in. So there's a filled in circle there because the fifth condition says f at -3 equals 2. And then the last condition, the sixth one, says f of 3 is 0. So when x equals 3, the y value is 0. So that's filling that in right there. All right, now the last thing I need to do is I'm going to just complete connecting. I'm going to connect all the lines together for the function. So I'm going to connect this one. And these I'm going to draw with arrows going off there. Now, those last things I drew, the arrows and the ones that connecting the point from -3 to 3, they could look like lots of different things. All right, the important things were what were drawn then before that point. All right, so this is an example of what it could look like. Again, there are other things what it could look like, but those 6 conditions, which we went over first, those had to be there like that. Hope that helps.